The night is silent, but silence always hides a story that crawls under your skin and stays with you forever. Lock your doors, dim the lights, because what you are about to hear cannot be unheard. Welcome to the world of horror. And if you dare to step further, subscribe to this channel for many more terrifying stories await you. The Amityville Horror, a true American haunting. The house on 112 Ocean Avenue looked peaceful from the outside. White walls, sloping roof, large windows that resembled eyes watching over the neighborhood. For anyone passing by, it seemed like a dream home, but inside it carried a darkness that most people would never dare to face. In November of 1974, that darkness showed its first face. Ronald DeFeo Jr., only 23, rose in the middle of the night with a rifle in his hands. One by one, he entered the bedrooms of his parents and his siblings. In the silence of that house, gunshots echoed. His parents were shot in their bed. His brothers and sisters, still asleep, never had the chance to wake. 6 lives ended before the sun rose that morning. The crime shocked not only Amityville, but the entire nation. Reporters crowded the street. Neighbors whispered about the evil that must have lived in that house. But after the trial, after DeFeo was taken away, the house sat empty, quiet, waiting. A year later, in December of 1975, George and Kathy Lutz believed they had found a blessing. The house was big, beautiful, and selling for far less than it was worth. It was the kind of property most people could never afford. George was a strong-looking man with a beard, practical and proud. Kathy was warm, caring, and hopeful. She had 3 children from her previous marriage: Daniel, Christopher, and little Missy. The Lutz family believed this would be a new beginning. The day they moved in, a Catholic priest came to bless the house. He walked through each room, sprinkling holy water, whispering prayers. When he entered one of the upstairs rooms, his face suddenly changed. He froze, lowered his head, and quickly left. Later, he warned the family, "Don't sleep in that room." He wouldn't explain why, but his voice was filled with unease. The Lutz family laughed it off. They didn't want to believe in curses or ghosts. But from the very first night, the house began to whisper. George felt an icy draft that clung to him no matter how hot the fire burned. Kathy dreamt of the DeFeo murders, not like ordinary dreams, but vivid, living nightmares. She could see the gun, hear the shots, smell the blood. She woke up shaking, drenched in sweat. Every night, George opened his eyes at exactly 3:15 a.m., the same time the murders had taken place. At first, he told himself it was coincidence. But as the days passed, the pull became stronger. He would wake, who sat outside her window at night. Sometimes Jody was kind. Other times, Jody warned her of terrible things. George grew more distant each day. He spent hours chopping wood in the freezing cold. His beard grew ragged, his eyes hollow. He snapped at Kathy, shouted at the children. It was as if the warmth inside him was being drained, replaced by something darker. Kathy began to fear him, not because he wanted to, but because the house seemed to be changing him. Then came the smells. At random times, the house would fill with a stench like rotten meat, sulfur, or sewage. Came and went, almost as if the house itself was breathing. Doors would slam with violent force, even when the air was still. Windows Kathy hung on the walls turned upside down overnight. And then came the slime. Green, sticky liquid began oozing from the walls, dripping from keyholes, seeping across the carpet. The Lutz family had no explanation. Night by night, things escalated. Kathy awoke one evening to find herself lifted from the bed by invisible hands. She screamed, but George didn't stir. He was in some kind of trance, staring at the ceiling with lifeless eyes. Another night, Kathy looked into the mirror and gasped. Her face had aged decades in seconds, wrinkled, pale, sunken. She clutched her skin in terror, but when she blinked, her reflection returned to normal. The children were not spared. They woke with scratches on their bodies, long red marks across their arms and legs. Missy whispered that Jody was angry. Once, George and Kathy heard her speaking softly in her room. When they opened the door, she was alone, but the Rockies stood up. Neighbors later claimed that when they passed by the house late at night, they saw something, a figure with glowing eyes staring from Missy's bedroom window, even when the lights were off and the room was empty. George's behavior worsened. He spent hours sharpening an axe, mumbling to himself. Kathy feared that whatever had once driven Ronald DeFeo to kill was now seeping into her husband. George himself admitted later that he had thoughts of hurting his family, thoughts that didn't feel like his own. On one of the final nights, the house reached its peak of madness. The family was jolted awake as the walls began to shake violently. A deafening voice roared from nowhere. "Get out!" Doors slammed across the house at once. Windows rattled. Shadows moved swiftly along the walls. Kathy screamed as she felt unseen arms wrap around her throat. The children cried, claiming Jody was in their room, telling them they would never leave. George saw a figure, tall, cloaked, its face hidden in darkness, standing in the living room. He grabbed a lamp and threw it, but when the light hit, the figure vanished. Still, the sense of being watched, being surrounded, was overwhelming. That was it. That was the breaking point. In the dead of night, after only 28 days in the house, George and Kathy grabbed their children, ran outside, and never looked back. They left their furniture, their clothes, even food on the table. To them, survival mattered more than possessions. What followed made the Amityville Horror infamous. Paranormal investigators, including Ed and Lorraine Warren, entered the house. Lorraine declared she felt an evil unlike anything before. During one investigation, a photograph was captured of what appeared to be a small boy with glowing eyes peeking from a doorway. But there were no children in the house that night. The Lutz family shared their story with the world. Some believed them, others accused them of lying for profit. But the truth is simple. A family abandoned their dream home in less than a month, terrified for their lives. And to this day, the legend of the Amityville Horror lingers. The house still stands, remodeled, lived in by others. Some say it's quiet now. Others whisper that the evil never left, that it only sleeps, waiting for the next family to wake it. So the next time you see a beautiful house, calm and peaceful on the outside, remember Amityville. Because sometimes walls don't just hold memories. Story ends here, but the shadows remain. Remember, the night is never truly silent. Something always listens. If you enjoyed this tale, don't forget to subscribe for more chilling stories. Because the darkness is never far away.